Hey, 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 it's Raku Day. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to be demonstrating a Raku firing for you. I'm very excited about that. We usually do this in April and we try to have some pieces ready to go for our contest season. However, we're cut short this year. So this gave me a great opportunity to put a demonstration together for you. Raku firing historically is an ancient Japanese method of firing. It started in about the 1500s, and it was mostly made for teaware. It is made with low fire clay and lead-based glazes, so it is not food safe. It is believed that the spirit of the maker is in the pottery, and that is why each piece of pottery fires completely different and has different characteristics. So no two pieces will turn out the same even if you're trying to make a set. Some characteristics of the pottery is there's sometimes a crackle effect. Sometimes the clay will have cracks or pits because you're taking it from a hot kiln to a cold temperature, and so that's going to scientifically create a shock. The foot on the pottery in Raku is traditionally naked. You don't glaze that, and it will turn black in the process, which you'll learn a little bit more about later. So right now we're firing the kiln to about 1800 degrees on a cone 05 glaze. The pottery in there has already been bisked and painted with glaze. And I'm actually doing two pieces for you guys today, and they're just small pieces to show you the process. But I did use a Raku glaze. I have a few Raku glazes I used on those, so you can see what those will look like. They get very metallic and the color changes a lot. Firing with Raku is trial by fire. And as we get ready to do this, I'm going to take you outside and we're going to get set up for part 2 after the pieces come out of the kiln. You'll also get to see that I'll have a crew working with me today. It does take about 3 to 4 people to complete a Raku firing process. So I wanted to show you a couple of Raku pieces. This is a Raku pot. This is wheel thrown. And you can see where we have the black, the smoke has stained that black. Here's one of those characteristic cracks that happens when you do a Raku style pit fire. You can kind of see the inside. So there are irregularities there with the glazing, but it's such a beautiful color. You can see the metallic. Here is another tiny little Raku pot that was fired. Same thing. You see the characteristics of the Raku and how the color changes. It's individual to each pot. There's some nice crackle glaze on the inside. So I'm prepping the area now for the Raku process. It's a pretty day. It's a little chilly. The breeze might be a problem with the fire, so we'll just see what happens. But I'm going to put some newspaper down here. This is what I'm going to put the pottery on when it comes out of the Raku fire. So I'm just going to let this soak and get a little wet. This is basically to protect my driveway, and then to also keep the water will keep the newspaper from reigniting, and I'll keep the ash stains off my driveway. You're also going to need a pair of leather gloves and some safety glasses for anyone that's participating. I've got a jug of water in case we need to put out a fire. When it comes out of the trash can, we'll need spray water, and I've got a few rags and some other items. So to prep this is my reduction chamber, or what you guys might call a beat up trash can. I've got a bag of sawdust. I usually get this from Home Maintenance, and I've got several bags stored. So we're going to put that into the reduction chamber. Since I'm only firing 2 pots today, I don't need a lot, but that's what it looks like. So so it comes about up to here. And then to get the fire started, we'll just be crumpling up a few pieces of newspaper. So as we put the hot pottery in, it will rest on the dry newspaper and it will ignite a fire, which is what we want to happen. This is really the circle of earth, air, fire, and water, because we'll be using all the elements. So we're getting ready to take there's 2 pots in here. One is located here and here. We'll take them out separately. Normally we would fire more, but since I'm doing this at home, I'm just doing 2 small pots so you guys can see what rakuing is like. These are my raku tongs. They are long so that I can reach in and the heat will not melt me. I've got my protection on with my leather gloves, my safety glasses, and my hair is tied back, and I've got long sleeves and layers. So that's important too, because there's going to be a blast of heat at 1800 degrees coming out of here. And if my cameraman would zoom in on the inside of the kiln, you can see what it looks like. Okay, so we're going to fasten a hook to the kiln lid, which we've devised this pulley system ourselves. And I'll take the first pot out, and then I'm going to go outside my garage here and put it into the combustible matter trash can. Okay, you ready? Got it? Okay, see how red hot? It's molten hot. And as the air hits it, it's going to change color. And then we're going to close the lid because the rest of those pots are going to finish the cycle. When you're done, if you would gently pull that peephole out.
Sure.
Hot stuff. Okay, you can leave it open. I'm going to nestle that in there in the sawdust. We've got some newspaper in there so we can get it to burning. So it's going to sit in there and burn for about 5 to 7 minutes, maybe a little longer, just kind of depends. I like to put torn magazine pages in here. You can put anything combustible in here. You can put dried out orange peels, banana peels, anything organic really. You get a different finish depending on what you're burning it in. So this is just kind of getting our fire going. We actually usually roast marshmallows over this. It's kind of fun. And I'm trying to also get the sawdust ignited down there.
How long is the timer?
Let's go 7 minutes. Okay, the timer went off, so we are going to do the reduction now. So the reduction process is where you're reducing the amount of oxygen that the fire receives. So you're essentially putting the fire out. So we're going to put the lid on and seal it. And then I'm going to set my timer for about 20 minutes, and we're going to let that marinade. The timer went off, so now we're ready to open the lid. It's still going to be hot. And so smoke is going to billow out whichever way the wind is blowing today. I don't want to shake it too much. I don't want to break any of the pottery inside. That wasn't very billowy, but So now I go fishing. Can you zoom in on this? So that's what it looks like in there. They're nestled in the sawdust, and I will carefully remove them, and I'm going to put them on the wet newspaper. I think I'll take the small one first. It's got some ash inside. We'll shake that out a little bit. You can see some of the beautiful colors already. This one I actually did a glue resist. So those drips that you see on the pot, I dripped Elmer's glue on there and then glazed over it. I was just experimenting. You can hear the sizzle. So my tongs are really pokey. I want to be careful that I don't grab too hard and like poke my pottery and break it. So now I'm just gently getting some of that ash out. So once it hits the cold air, it's cooling down a little bit quicker. And I can plunk it in the water, but I like to spray. Get that nozzle going. And this just kind of cools it down. And you'll hear some ting-tings, and that's again your chemical reaction of hot against cold. This water I like to put in here is usually lukewarm. I don't like to shock it too hard because that'll cause the cracks. So we'll let that just kind of settle while we dig out our next one. So here is the next pot. And this was a wheel thrown pot. Had some glaze on it and a lot of bare clay areas. Where you see some of the hard metallics or where the sawdust was compressed in the pottery. So when the sawdust compresses a little more, we seem to get better metallics. So I'm going to gently put that on the newspaper. Got that sizzle going. So I am done with this, and I'm going to focus on my pottery. What I like to do here is make sure fire's out. I'll put a little water in there, and then I'll keep my eye on that throughout the night to make sure it doesn't reignite. So this is looking good. These are very, very hot, so we don't want to touch them with our hands. I'm just letting them cool a little against the air. I'm going to see if the pots have cooled down enough to do some cleaning on them. And they have. And you can see the beautiful color here. Beautiful color on this one too. So now you could take them inside and scrub them in a sink with a little warm water, lukewarm water. So what we are doing right now is we're getting rid of the ash, and we're going to reveal the beauty of the firing with those glazes. I used Raku glazes, so I'm going to get some special quality. You can use regular glazes for this to surprise. You get something beautiful. Each piece is unique. I'm trying to scrub this gently. When I am done with, oh, we have a big crack here. Big crack. So, little craftsman's secret, I'll probably put some E6000 on the inside of that to kind of ensure its safety and try not to handle it too much. We also like to polish these with turtle wax. Just a light buff of turtle wax on there kind of preserves some of the metallic colors that you see. Now those colors will change over time. It won't always look just like you see it. It's going to change even if you turtle wax it to protect it. So this is turning out nicely. Set that right there. And they will smell for a few days too. You'll have that ashy campfire smell. So it's nice to let them air out somewhere. So now I'm just drying them off and just revealing some of the beautiful colors. You can see some of the characteristics of the Raku fire with the crackle, the pits. Very rarely are you going to get a batch where you don't have that. So that is a nice pot. And we would then proceed with the little pot. So another nice little piece right here. And then you can see the smoky effect on the inside. This was fired in a stoneware, so it had grog in it, which is the texture in the clay. So it held up a little better. This one was fired with a red earthenware, which isn't as hardy as of a clay, so that's why I got a few more of the cracks. I look forward to Raku firing with you. We usually do this in the month of April. So thanks for joining me.